So for you now, you got the title, and there is talk about you fighting for the bantamweight title against champion TJ Dillashaw. What are your thoughts? Like, where are you at right now? Like, what are you?
Man,
what are your goals?
It's a beautiful time to be the champ. There's tons of options, Joe. You know,
Where's your contract at right now?
Well, I still have about 7 fights left. You know, but we're gonna renegotiate. 'Cause I think more likely that TJ fight might happen.
Gotta happen.
That TJ fight might happen if it's gonna be a done with the flyweight division.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think the cat's out the bag, and you know Dana had mentioned that to me. He said, hey, so, you know, we want to take you up on that offer of you challenging to go up against TJ, but this is where the company's been thinking about for a while.
Mm-hmm. And TJ's down for it too?
I don't think so. I think TJ wants to come down to 25, and I think that's kind of like the delay a little bit. Yeah.
Now, would you rather fight him at 35 so that you can get an additional title, or would you rather fight him at 35 because you don't have to cut weight, or what's your thought process?
I like both ideas. I actually kind of left it off to him. I says, I don't know, but I want to fight you, man. I said I want to fight TJ. I want to go out to the next best thing, and I think that's him. You know. I think
so you don't mind fighting him at 25 or 35?
Yeah, I don't.
That makes it easier.
Yeah.
That definitely makes it easier.
Yeah, I'm just like, hey, let's do that 25, let's do that 35, but let's fight, man.
That's where your mind is right now. That's your number one goal.
Yeah, and I believe TJ wants to fight me too. I think you know, beating Demetrius, I think that's gonna help his name. You know, it's
Sure.
I guess for both, you can say.
Yeah.
You know? So.
But now that Demetrius has left the division and gone off to ONE FC to get paid.
Buku.
Well, where do you think the division is right now? I mean, is that one reason? Like, if you won at 35 and won the title at 35, would you consider dropping the 25-pound title and competing at 35, or would you rather stay at 25?
I wouldn't mind dabbling in both. I mean, I know that's kind of broad, but you know, at one point you do get tired of cutting weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of.
What do you weigh right now?
I'm probably about 50. 50.
Yeah, I mean, losing 15 pounds is way better than losing 25 pounds.
Yeah, I'm a little bigger now because of that reason. I might have to fight at bantam. So I'm kind of I think more likely it might happen at bantamweight.
What people don't know is that actually Henry almost fought TJ when he was the champ. When Renan Barão didn't make weight, his first fight in the UFC, he didn't make weight. But 2 hours later, Renan Barão didn't make weight, and they were looking for somebody to go up and fight TJ.
You mean when Joe Soto fought him?
When Joe Soto fought him, Henry was the number one option. But Henry had already declined. He said he wasn't fighting Jorgensen. But now here we are, 3 years later, back now. He's got the belt. TJ came back and won the belt. Let's do it. These guys been beefing for a long time, so that's ever since the first day he ever came into the UFC. Him and TJ have been at it. And then on the Ultimate Fighter 24, they had Dwayne Bang was the coach. There was like a little beef with Henry and Benavidez's team. Benavidez's coach. So it kind of goes way back.
So there's a bit of animosity too on top of everything.
Now, you're a very goal-oriented guy. Do you have your career mapped out in terms of like when you would like to get out of the game?
I do, and I think about it a lot. Cause man, I'll be honest with you, Joe. I've accomplished everything I've ever wanted to, you know, in my career. Like I had 3 goals, and that was just, you know, my number one goal was just to be a good person, a good father, someday, a good husband. And then after that was to be an Olympic champ, and then eventually UFC champ. So everything's kind of I've done everything that I've ever kind of set my mind to. You know, those are the two biggest thing, the two manliest thing anybody could ever do. And I don't see myself fighting for more than maybe 3 to 4 years.
The only other thing, you really are in this rare space where you have the possibility of being considered one of the greatest combat sport athletes of all time. I mean, you're already in the mix, right? Mm-hmm. Olympic gold medalist, UFC champion. I mean, you have this very rare opportunity for incredible greatness.
Yeah. I think for the most part, I mean, I like to eventually, I mean, I do a lot of motivational speaking. I've been doing that for a while, Joe. I've spoken in front of like the biggest companies in the world. I mean, the Coca-Cola, like the TD Ameritrade, Procter & Gamble, $1 billion company. I just got signed by Kroger. And they kind of, you know, they use me for that reason, and I really enjoy doing that. And plus you get paid.
And you don't have to get leg kicked.
Yeah, you don't have to get leg kicked and hit that nerve and do the drunken monkey. Yeah. You don't got to do all that.
Yeah.
And it's just cool. It's just cool to kind of share the you know, the whole underdog story.
I love that people do that. The companies have the mindset of bringing in champions and people that are extraordinary at whatever they do, and speaking to these, you know, these people that work for them and explaining like what I mean. That motivation is gigantic. Motivation is such a huge source of fuel for people in all walks of life. You know, to have a guy like you come in and talk to a company could have a really big impact on their creativity, on how they pursue goals, on all kinds of different things.
Yeah, so anyways, that's kind of where I can see my life kind of heading to. Now, you know, eventually, I think I'll always be a fan of the sport, but I don't think I'll be involved in either wrestling or fighting as much as I think I would.
Not as a coach, not as
no, it's too hard, Joe. Like, look at all these coaches. It's a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, being a coach is you're in a relationship with your athletes. Sometimes you go through these breakups, and sometimes the athletes don't give you what they want to give you, and then it's just it's a headache at times.
Yeah.
And I see that with a lot of, you know, I see that with him, and I'm just like, man, I don't know if I want those stress levels.
It's a lot of stress.
Well, Eric, for a guy like you get across a guy like Henry, you hit the gold mine. But you could get across a guy who is a really talented guy that's a flake. And those, to me personally, there's plenty of those. But to me, as an analyst, as someone who watches fights, they're the most frustrating. Because there's some guys that I see and I go, God damn, that motherfucker's good. He's got the potential. Like, they can do things inside the octagon. They do things. Like, I'll see guys in the gym. Like, I'll go to a gym and watch guys train and see the guy, and I go, if this motherfucker could put it together like this in the cage, the way you see when he's sparring, like, some people are just artists, but the anxiety of competition and all the factors that come involved, the discipline, the consistency, all the things that make someone a great fighter sometimes. There's so many different things that make someone a great fighter that wind up fucking them up when they actually go to compete. The recklessness and impulsiveness that actually makes them good also can wind up tanking them if they don't sort of forge it with some sort of like severe discipline.
Yeah, there has to be a training of the mind too, and I think that's where people are skipping. And you know, I think that's where you have to understand like the philosophy up here. Like you have to be right up top.
You have to be right.
You have to be literally. You have to understand and know who you are as a fighter, as a person, and you know, to kind of to be stable enough to perform at when it really matters. Yeah, you know. And if you don't have that, you can be as talented and as gifted as you want. You'll never make it. Yeah. And we see those all the time. Like, I'd see guys in practice, man, they would tear me up. They came to competition, they would just roll over like fish.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, it's weird as you're coming up and you see those guys, and you realize, like, man, there's something missing, and then you're terrified you're going to see that in yourself. And
I think it's the embracement of embracing pressure. It's something that you don't neglect. It's something that you don't shy away from. It's something that you don't allow to damage you, but it's an embracement. It's just like, hey, bring it, man, bring it, because that's what it is, Joe. It's the pressure that people feel, the reason why they can't perform.
It's what makes champions. I remember when TJ Dillashaw first fought Renan Barão, when he got into that octagon, dude, he looked like he was sparring. He was loose as a goose. Yeah. And I saw him. I'm like, damn, look how loose TJ is. Like, this is a world title fight, and he's switching stances and giving him looks, and he looks fantastic. He just looked loose. And then, boom, he hits him with that big overhand right, and next thing you know, Renan Barão's getting fucked up. Yeah. I mean, and that was what TJ thrives on, that kind of pressure. He lives for that kind of pressure, just like you do, which is why I want to see that fight.
Let's do it. I want his head on a. I want his head on a spike.
We
That's
both
what I
do.
want. I want to make some snake shoes out of TJ, man.
Snake skin,
I want
baby.
snake skin shoes, maybe suit. I think he might be big enough for me.
Yeah. What